Hello, welcome back to Genius. So this is day two of our week three. So we have been talking about software, and the last class we talked about different types of software, the system software. Okay, so and we also mentioned part of the system software is the operating system. Okay, and we operating system is something that we really need to discuss and understand how it works, what it does for us, because operating system is something that is very crucial. So we, even as programmers, we will be working with the operating system a lot. So operating systems, we'll be talking about what is an operating system. We'll talk about the rules of operating system in terms of managing hardware, running applications, user interface, and security. We would also talk of examples of operating systems. And then your assignment for today is that you need to identify what type of operating system is your phone using. All right. Um, it- Basically, your phone should be using either either iOS or Android. If you're using an Apple phone, an iPhone, that means it is using an iOS operating system. If you're using something like Samsung, any Android phone, that means your phone is an Android, is using Android operating system. So your laptop basically could either be Windows that you're using or you're using the Mac OS. So if you're using a MacBook or any Apple laptop, that means you're using a Mac OS operating system. So show how an operating system boosts up. Okay, so I want you to when you off your phone or when you off your phone or when you off your laptop, okay, when you on it, it boots. As your phone is booting, it is actually booting your operating system. The first thing your phone does is to boot your operating system. Your phone or your laptop, once you on it, all right, the first thing it does is to boot. The first application it runs basically is the operating system, because without the operating system, nothing else can work in the phone or in the laptop. So what is what is an operating system? An operating system is the main system software. Remember, an operating system is a system software. It is the main system software that manages the computer hardware and software resources. Apart from every other software we have on the laptop, on your computer, on your phone, operating system is the main software that manages every other software and hardware. So operating system manages the computer hardware and other software resources, while also providing services and an interface for users and applications. So operating system serves the hardware. Operating system serves other software that you have in your lab, in your computer. Operating system also serves the users by providing user interface to the users. It also provides applications that, like something like your game. So it also serves other applications like your games. So it is like the manager of a company. Operating system is like the manager of the company. If the manager of the company is not doing well, the company will go down. If the principal of your school is not doing well, your school will not do well. So hardware are the workers. So operating system is the manager of the company. Hardware is like the workers, the people that do the job. Operating system is the manager. The manager gives direction, give instructions to the workers to what to do. So the workers are the hardware, the CPU, the memories, the storage, the storage, and the devices. So applications are like the projects. So software programs that run in the computer. All right. So the thing is this: the manager, the operating system is the manager of the company. So the workers, the hardware is like the workers, to be people who do the job, and applications are the job itself. That's the projects that the workers actually execute. So the projects, the job, applications I'm talking about is like your game, the game that you play on your phone or on your laptop. Those are applications. So those are the jobs that need to be done. Those are the projects that need to be done by the company. And then the workers that do the job is the hardware, and the manager that controls everything and give instruction is the operating system. So operating system is the manager who assigns tasks, supervises, and ensures smooth workflow. So you can see where what operating system actually does. Okay. So without an operating system, a computer is just hardware with no coordination. Without an operating system, the computer is just like a company with no manager. Everybody will just be doing whatever they want to do, and it wouldn't make sense. So there will be no coordination. So think of operating system as the bridge between you, the user, the applications, and the hardware. So operating system says between the hardware and you, the user, between the hardware and the applications that run, like your games. All right. So your game is also a software. All right. So the operating system sits between the hardware that does the job, all right, and you, the user, that wants the job to be done. So it controls hardware like CPU. The operating system controls the CPU, the memory, the storage devices, the input and output devices. It is the operating system that controls all of this. So operating system actually tells them what to do and how to do what they need to do. All right. So operating system runs applications and ensures that they work properly. So when you try to play your game is an application. It's also another software. But the thing is that it is the job of the operating system to ensure that they work properly. So the operating system also manages the applications that you run. It provides a user interface. So for us, the users of the computer, we cannot use the computer without having a good user interface. All right, like the Windows desktop, the Linux terminal. So you can interact with the machine. If the operating system does not provide user interface for us to interact with the computer, we cannot interact with the computer. So it is the operating system that provides us the means of interaction with the computer. So without the operating system, the computer cannot function. Do you understand? Remember, without the software, the hardware cannot function, the computer cannot function. And without the operating system is the main software in our computer. So without the operating system, nothing else will work. Okay? An operating system is a system software that acts as an intermediary between the computer. It acts as an intermediary between the computer, hardware, the user, and the application software. It manages the resources of the computer and ensures that all parts of the system work together efficiently and securely. So all these things, the user interface, the application software, the computer hardware, they are just different components of the computer. So without the operating system, they cannot function effectively together. They cannot work together. Somebody has to be an intermediary. Somebody has to be a mediator between all these components. So without an operating system, a computer is just a collection of hardware with no way to function. Do you understand? Okay. So operating system is the manager. All right. Without the operating system, nothing will work in the system. So let's take examples of operating system. On your desktop or on your laptop, you can either have Windows operating system. If you're using something like Lenovo, Acer, if you're using anything that is not an Apple computer, okay? So, but if you're using Apple computers, the operating system is Mac OS. Then we also have another operating system called Linus. Linus, Linus. Okay. So we also have operating system for mobile phones. So we have for mobile phones, we have Android. We also have iOS. So depending on the phone that you're using, it's either you're using an Android phone, which is the Android operating system, or you're using an iPhone, which uses an iOS operating system. So I want you to understand something. Every functioning computer, whether it is a computer that is found in your television, whether it is the computer that is found in a car, in your washing machine, in your remote, every computer has an operating system. No matter how that computer is, they must have an operating system. So we also have server operating systems, all right, like the Ubuntu server, the Windows server. So these These kind of operating systems are used for servers. Don't worry, you'll get to understand what servers are when we start talking about web development, okay? In short, an operating system is the software that makes computers usable, managing everything inside the computer and making it possible for users and applications to work with hardware smoothly. Now, in the next class, we'll be talking about the history of operating systems. Why did they even come at all? Why were they even invented? What was the need for operating systems to be invented, to be developed? So we are going, the next class, we'll take a look at the history and evolution of operating systems. So what is the role of an operating system? Imagine the operating system as the manager of a factory. All right, the hardware is the machines, like the workers, like you have already known, the CPU, the memory, the printers. Applications are the workers. Software like browsers, word processor. User is the factory owner, which is you. So operating system is the factory manager. So you as the user, as the owner, you will talk to your manager on the projects or the jobs you want to do. Once you talk to the manager, which is you as a user, and you're the owner of the factory, you talk to the manager, which is the operating system, telling the operating system the things you want to do. Then the operating system will now call on the right application that will do it for you, which is the worker. And then these workers are actually going to be using the machines to do these jobs. So just like a manager, the operating system ensures, of course, OS means operating system, is a short form of operating system. So the OS ensures that everything runs smoothly and no conflicts occur. So it is the job of the operating system to do all this. Maybe one day, who knows, you can create your own operating system. Yes, one day you can create your own operating system. That's very possible. One day you create your own. So what are the core functions of an operating system? An operating system performs 5 main functions. The first one is process management. Don't worry, we'll talk about this later in this section. We'll talk about them in detail. So they handle the a process is like an application running. When you start your game, it is called a process. It is like an application that is executing. So any program or any application that is running is called a process. So it is the job of the operating system to manage this application. So when we say process management, we mean application that are running in the system. So it handles all running programs. It decides which process or which application gets CPU time using scheduling algorithms. So it is the job of the operating system to manage the applications that are running on our computers, like your game, your browser, your Word, your Microsoft Word, your Excel, whatever it is, okay? So it supports multitasking. So with the operating system, it can run multiple applications at a time. That is why you can open up your calculator, you can open up the browser, you can open up your game, multiple games at the same time. And the operating system makes sure that they function properly. It is the job of the operating system to make sure that all the applications that are running at the same time, they function properly. So without the operating system, we cannot have multiple applications running at the same time. So that is what we call process management. So when we talk of process, we are talking about an application that is running, that is on. Like now, when you start to run your game, play your game, it is a process. It is called a process in the operating system. So an operating system performs memory management. So our operating system allocates RAM to programs. So the thing is that whenever you start your game, all right, your game will have to be loaded inside a RAM. Do you understand? Don't worry, when we talk about computer architecture, you understand better. When you start your game, that's your game, the program itself, the software itself will be loaded, or basically the instructions. Don't worry, let me not take you too far. When you start your game, the software, the program that's your game will be loaded inside of RAM. So it is the operating system that will allocate the num the si- the no- the size. It will allocate the RAM portion to your programs. That means you can run a calculator application, a browser, your game. You can play these games at the same time. So it is the operating system that actually allocates a portion of the RAM to each of these programs. Okay, don't worry, you get to understand better what we mean. So it also manages virtual memory using this as extra RAM. It prevents memory leaks and ensures isolation between programs. For now, you might not understand all these things I'm saying here, but just understand that memory is one of the resources of the computer. Don't worry, we'll talk about in one of the weeks, we'll talk about memory, computer memory. So we're going to discuss the computer memory and how it works. Okay, so we'll talk about that and you understand better. But memory is a very useful resource of the computer. So it has to be managed very well, and it is the operating system that manages the memory. Okay, so we also have file system management. So the file system is also another resource that needs management, very good management. So it is the operating system that organizes data in files and directories. So when you create data and store them in files, your music files, your video files, you create directories, it is the operating system that manages them. So in the next class, when we talk about the history and evolution of operating systems, you're going to understand why all these things came about. So operating system provides permissions because it is not everybody that can read or write to files. Don't worry, you get to understand more. And again, in one of the weeks we'll also be talking about Windows operating system. So we get to understand how to use our Windows operating system. Okay. So, but that will be coming later on. So that is when you will understand some of this file system management. So examples of file system is NTFS, EST4 Linux. Okay. But the one thing I want you to get out of here is that operating system manages file system. Okay. All right. So operating system also manages devices. So operating system controls communication with hardware devices. Your input, your output, your monitor. It is operating system that controls communication with these hardware devices. Uses drivers to make hardware usable. Your printer driver, your graphics driver. Okay, so it is operating system that actually communicate with these hardware devices. If you connect a printer to your computer, it is operating system that provides this communication with these hardware devices. So don't worry, as we maybe later on in this your career, you get to learn more about operating system in general, big time. All right. So you will get to understand more of these things. So, but in here, just getting that whenever you add the devices that we have, printers, scanners, all those things, whenever we connect them to our computer, it is operating system that provides good communication to these devices. The operating system also provides us with security and user interface. So it makes sure that nobody can log into our system without our knowledge. I cannot log into your phone. I cannot just come to your phone without having to know your password or your biometric, using your biometrics. So it is operating system that provides authentication. It provides security for us. It ensures that data protection and malware defense is available. It offers user interfaces. The operating system provides a way that we as users can interact with the computer. It can be command line interface or it can be graphical user interface. So as we go on, you're going to understand what we mean by command line interfaces. And also graphical user interfaces is the one you're used to. All right. As you're looking at your phone right now, you see your icons, you see the things on your phone. You can tap on them and do stuff. On your on your laptop, you can use your mouse to click on icons and see what the computer really has for you. So that's graphical user interface. So command line interface, you start using them more maybe when you start writing some programs. So don't worry, you're going to understand more of this. But these are the two major interfaces that the operating system provides for us to communicate with the computer. It's either we are communicating using the command line interface or we are using the graphical user interface. But the graphical user interface is the most popularly used. It's mostly computer programmers that actually use command line interface. So let's talk about the components of an operating system. Operating system has some components. So let's talk about the components. The first component of the operating system is the kernel. The kernel is the core program managing hardware. So the operating system have different components, and each of these components have the different functions. So the job of the kernel is to manage the hardware. So the part of the operating system that manages the hardware is the kernel. It manages hardware like CPU, memory, input and output. This I/O you're seeing here, it means input and output. So we also have the monolithic kernel. All right, this is a single large program. It is a single large program. We have the micro kernel. It is a minimal core with modules. Don't bother if you don't understand what we are doing here. So the shell is another part. It is the interface for user commands. So it is now the kernel. Forget about this monolithic kernel and the micro kernel. Forget about them. They are just different types of kernel. But the kernel is a part of the operating system that manages hardware. Now, the part of the operating system that provides us with interface, user interface, the command line interface or the graphical user interface is the shell. It is the shell is the part of the operating system that makes it easier for us to we the users to communicate with the computer using the user interface it provides for us, either the command line interface or the graphical user interface. Now, the file system is also part of the operating system. It organizes and stores files. All right. Device drivers is another interface of the operating system. It provides interface between the operating system and hardware. So these are the components of an operating system. System utilities provide maintenance tools. All right. So these are the different components of an operating system. Mostly the kernel, the shell. All right. Types of operating system. We have the batch operating system. This is the first operating system that was created. So don't worry, in the next class, we're going to understand the history and the evolution of operating system. So this executes jobs in groups with no interaction. I will explain this more when we talk about the history of operating system. Okay. We also have time sharing and multitasking operating system. So in the next class, when we talk about it, we'll talk about the reason why why they were created. So we have the batch operating system. This batch operating system executes jobs in groups with no interaction. There will be no need for me to explain anything here. In the next class, I'm going to explain them in more detail, okay? So we also have the time sharing / multitasking operating system. So with the time sharing or multitasking operating system, the users can run multiple applications at the same time, and multiple users can use the computer at the same time. You understand? But with the batch operating system, it is one at a time, one user at a time. But with the time sharing multitasking operating system, multiple users can run multiple programs at the same time. So we also have real-time operating system. Real-time operating system provides instant response. They are used in robotics, medical systems, and an example is the QNX and VxWorks. So they are real-time operating systems. They provide instant response to us. I would explain more in the next class what all these things mean. I will explain more in the next class when we talk about the history of operating systems. We also have distributed operating systems. It runs across multiple machines as one system. So with the distributed operating system, more than one computer can be connected to one operating system. We also have network operating system that manages network resources. Something like the Windows Server, it is used for managing network resources. All right. We also, of course, we have the mobile operating system designed for smartphones. All right. So we have the desktop, we have the mobile operating system. These are the most popular operating system. We have the server, we have the embedded. So any computer an embedded computer is a computer that is inside of another electronics, like your television, your washing machine, your car. These are called embedded computers. We cannot see them. They are inside of electronics mostly. Okay. So why operating systems are important? Without an operating system, users cannot interact with computers. It manages all hardware resources. It provides a platform for applications to run. It ensures security and stability. It makes computers user-friendly and accessible. Okay, so in summary, an operating system is the heart of system software. All right, it controls hardware, it runs applications, it provides a user interface, it ensures security and efficiency. In simple words, the operating system is what makes a computer usable. Without it, a computer is just a dead hardware. Okay, so the roles of operating system. Operating system is the control center of a computer. Its roles ensure that the machine's resources are properly used. Applications can run, users can interact, and the system stays safe. All right. So this is where we call it a day. Okay. So in the next class, we'll talk about history of operating system and the evolution of operating system. Thank you very much. I will see you in the next class.